And here we are, my friends, surviving an apocalypse. If someone had told me exactly 1 year ago, which is the 1 year anniversary, actually yesterday was the 1 year anniversary that I showed up to philosophy class, sat down, and documentary was played where suddenly someone was talking to me and proceeded to follow me around for a few months, and finally the following January, sometime in I know it was sometime in January, but not really when, said, "Well, I'm following you for more than a reason just to follow you. You are me." um, if someone had told me that 1 year after any of that. Also, this is right around the same time I aced the Marx test and got extra credit on it by remembering it through the complete history of the Soviet Union arranged to the melody of Tetris. Really great if you need help with figuring out Marxism and Soviet type history, because we're not taught that. Americans are not really taught anything about the Soviet Union. We're just taught that Russians are evil and that communism is evil. We don't even know what communism is. We don't get taught what it is. When I saw what Marx was really saying, what he was saying is we should live in communes. Not communism, but commune, like an organic farm commune type thing. That was what he meant. And that people are going to these jobs at factories that they hate. They cannot see their families. He called that alienated labor. They can't go out into nature, alienated from nature, alienated from all of these critical aspects of a wholesome life, in his opinion, from what he had seen in the past to what was suddenly happening. And he believed the people were going to revolt, but they never did. I remember last year I would look up at the sky sometimes and I would say, "Hey, Marx, sorry you were 150 years early, I think, for us. We're finally revolting. Thank you." Though many of us don't really know that what we're doing is quite in line with what Karl Marx was saying. Because, you see, if a man has a philosophy that's very correct, like Nietzsche or like Marx, what's the best way to keep people from actually learning it? Demonizing it. That's what you do with it. So that's why nobody's actually really connected these philosophers to the New Age philosophy. That this is exactly what they were talking about. Not only that, but me in the past predicted this whole super person concept, and said, no, I'm not even predicting it. I'm saying it's going to happen, and I'm too soon for it. I'll have to reincarnate and show up again for it. Yes, I did. Cool. Anybody who has some interesting past life information, I would love to hear it. Especially because of the odd way in which I was told the stuff about Nietzsche, like really, really bizarre. I still don't even know most of the guy's books. I can name the books, sort of, but I don't even know what they say. I was not some sort of person obsessed with him who then decided, oh, I must have been him in a past life. No, it was like something random. And I didn't really want to believe it until he got very, very specific about things. And the details would be so specific that I realized that I can't really deny this exactly here. You're giving me details that are that specific. My God. If someone had told me 1 year later, November 5th, 1 year later, that my mother would no longer be my mother, or whatever might have been latently simply there in my mother already, took full control of her, which is another possibility, due to her Nazi-type behavior. She did act very much like a Nazi, and literally did not understand how her children raised in situations of complete abuse, how that could cause them to be warped. She literally did not understand, and it was as if she just didn't get it. Like, okay, Your children were born into a situation where you were getting beaten every single day, where the father figure was attempting to possess the children, apparently, with some sort of using strange mind control tactics. I mean, the only movies we owned: Wizard of Oz, Top Gun, Forrest Gump, which he controlled. Um, he he was very interested in psychology. I know that from my mother. He, had issues with the IRS constantly because he would always give fake social security numbers. He tried to force us to do child labor, which I actually went up to him holding a daughter board. Remember the mother board? We used to have daughter boards. I was holding a daughter board, and I went up to him and said, "This is child labor," because he was telling us, "Here, you read these schematics." To a 7-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 7-year-old. Read the schematics and put these computers together, which I could do, and my brother could do too at 5 years old. But as I was doing it, suddenly the feeling came over me: wait, this is called child labor, and this is illegal, and this is evil. And I began to fight with him over it. I can't remember exactly what happened. In most of the confrontations, I don't remember the end or how exactly I got out of it. But it seems, for myself and my brother, our childhood is truly a mystery. To think 1 year ago, trying to go to school, realizing, alright, the degree is not what matters. I wrote in my book, a degree is an irrelevant formality. My life is my curriculum. The earth, my classroom, my university, and my fellow creators, my professors. Any great philosopher would take that kind of opinion of this reality that we are in right now. And someone told me the personage, what physically appears to be your mother, will now be attempting to assassinate you as of August 21st, 2014. From November of 2013, you have roughly 1 year to say goodbye to your mother. Because after that, it's not going to be her in there anymore, a completely different entity. It seems like that entity had been there already, in a way. Maybe she hadn't been aware of it, maybe she was, but it was... Some of the reptilians were saying that she did know. They were telling me that she did know stuff when I was 12, and things like that. So, she was so secretive that I honestly don't know what the heck she was up to. But our father was such drastic contrast of evil that whatever she was doing looked like an angel in comparison, so there was really no telling what was truly going on. But she was the reptilian hybrid in the whole thing. That's the funny thing. It actually goes back to her. So what's likely to have happened is she wanted to seduce my father. She deliberately kind of selected my father in a way, and would put herself in, this is at Rutgers University in New Jersey, she would put herself in places, dress up with, she had really nice long legs and platinum blonde hair, in a family of all brown haired people like this, and she shows up with platinum blonde hair and features that nobody else has: scoliosis, the curving of the back, the arched back, that stuff, and it just didn't make sense. She still had traits of her parents, but it was like, I mean, she was genetically engineered somehow, interdimensionally engineered. I don't know for what purpose or why, or if it was random, what the heck they thought they were doing. But yeah, they engineered my mom, apparently. And also she has all the instincts. She has the cleaning instinct. The kind of like barking at you kind of thing, like dogs. Like they're barking at you when they talk. Even if you're not arguing. It's very bizarre. Intense work ethic, value of work, and working hard, things like that, that are very typical reptilian traits, which are honorable traits, but I mean, I grew up holding those of placing extreme value upon those things, and no matter how hard I worked or what I did, like most of the people watching, we were never happy. oh, it's so awesome to work and all of this. Yes, it is. And then you just get slapped in the face by your government. You get told, oh, now we're going to possess you and take you over. Oh, you have no choice in any of this. What idiot, I'm going to say this bluntly here, what idiot supports that kind of philosophy? Okay, you value work, right? You worked your whole life for this. You worked your whole life to have your government just say, we're taking you over, we're gonna put chips in your hand, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. You're the workers. Workers unite. Marx's famous phrase, workers unite. And the workers will rise, we will not compromise, for we know that the old regime must die. That's the complete history of the Soviet Union to Tetris. The workers shall rise, we must not compromise, for we know that the old regime must die. Long live Lenin, kill the Tsar. It's a funny song. People should check it out. Pig with the Face of a Boy is the channel name, like Animal Farm. So you worked your whole life. You're so proud of your work, and then this happens to you. What benefit is it of working? Just like in the song. He sings, pointless work for pointless pay. This is one game I shall not play. I am the man who arranges the blocks. The humble worker, as it is, and they put it in Russian. It's funny. And the way they pronounce Moscow, we say it wrong. It's Moscow, or something like that. He says the words correctly. It's interesting. It seems like it was meant for Slavic people to listen to. To what end do you work then, now? Toil and bubble, toil and trouble. I feed dark energy, and my life continually sucks. That's what I see around me. That's what I'm seeing around me. I mean, the epicenter of the explosion that pretty much happened here, explosion of dark energy, was Chevron Headquarters. I know that. The cars start to drive around, strange cars, just almost like they're trying to tell me back off if I go near the headquarters now. And I used to be able to play on that property, because remember, I grew up with this stuff almost right here, not in this place where I am right now, but 5 to 10 minute walk away. I grew up from here after moving away from Los Angeles. So if someone told me, oh, your mom's job is going to brainwash her and then enslave her, and also as she meets a young man in college, because she's being followed as one of the hybrids, it seemed like they slowly hacked into my dad. I have no idea what my real dad really acts like, because the psychopathic mentality that he had, my mother would repeatedly claim that he wasn't always like this, Krista. He did not used to be this way. This was not the man that I married. He wasn't like this when I met him. And that would be why she still loved him. But I would think, my God, what did he act like then? This guy is a psycho, practically a murderer here. And it seems like, well, she said it rather suggestively. He said it suggestively that, oh yeah, he slowly changed, as if to say, you know what happened. You're not stupid. Well, yeah, I know what happened. I'm not stupid. It would have been he was slowly targeted by this particular technology, or you could say darkness, etc. Whatever you want to refer to it. Slowly targeted by this and hacked into systematically, and used as a kind of puppet to attempt to program her children. That was the idea, I believe. Now I'm kind of feeling it right now. I believe the idea was to hack into the man that she chose to mate with, if she mated, or push upon her the idea, oh, mate, because she really, really wanted children. And that was, she was almost like she was selecting my father in advance, thinking, okay, I'm going to have kids with that guy. I have to seduce him now. It was weird. When she finally described it to me, the way I reacted, she never described it again. So I know that it was something bizarre. Like, I mean, it's just Nazi thinking, okay? Nazi type thinking. And that's sort of how reptilians are. Because it's a genetic memory. It's not like it's their instinct exactly. It's like a genetic memory. When you talk to them, when you explain different options to them, especially if they hate their lives and have been trying to commit suicide because they finally figured out that it sucks, then they say, oh, I understand what you mean. So it's not like it's an instinct exactly. It's like a genetic kind of memory, I think. And because they're so telepathic, they would sense that is a genetic memory, I believe. So my father gets completely hacked into. A shame, because he was a genius. Apparently, she said, a very sweet and docile person. But I knew him as a horrible abuser, and very, very violent, and very big and violent. And he began to sleep around. He cheated on her the day of their wedding and the day of their honeymoon. Like, I wanted to say to my mother, what is wrong with you? I did say that to her several times. What was wrong with you? Because now, in relationships, I can say officially, yeah, when I've had things happen, I've said, no, done. Or, if something really screwed up goes on, like a certain Swedish person getting drunk at was supposed to be a nice German restaurant and telling me they were going to kill me by sticking a fentanyl lollipop through my throat. Yeah, I knew at that moment, okay, I'm engaged to you, but right now, after what you just said and the way you just said it, I know you were serious, the way you were thinking of that, and I have to break up with you completely, period, because you want children, and you want children in that kind of environment after you have gotten yourself strung out on benzos and will not take responsibility for it, try to blame me for it, even though I'm not strung out on any benzos and never have been. So there's no way I did it to him, because I've never been strung out on benzos. Ever. So that was the irony of that. I say to my mom, okay, look, I did this. How come you couldn't do that? My psychologist, she said the same thing too. She said, Krista, I admire your intellect. You really did something smart there, because he wanted children so much. You did something very, very smart by just saying, no, stopping everything. Unfortunately, it kind of broke Johannes's heart. That was his name. It seemed like that's what happened. He had a bit of a history of, he would run into a girl and then systematically screw up the girl somehow, was his opinion. But that was not it, I don't believe. I believe, no one knowing about the mind control technology, all of us were fooled. The ways in which we were all acting were not truly of our own accord. It's as if you could say, these were not my emotions. Or, for example, smashing a glass in front of Malcolm's door. Yeah, that was not me. Literally. Or you could say that the cops on the East Coast that are going nuts at random and shooting people, that's not them doing it. They're being provoked. They're being targeted, especially the police officers. Now, the police officers, also Newport, you guys know you're kind of going down with your whole ship. Newport. And also, yeah, the Blue Foundation video I played of Eyes on Fire, which I was threatened with, where it says, one more word and you won't survive. I was sent an edited version of that video as a threat. In that video, you see the girl is taken captive and brought to House Lennox in Vermont, where they do experiments on her and everything. And the place I was in Vermont, Newport, is right at the border of Canada, very close to the Montreal area. And that was a heavy, I mean bad HARP zone. It was insane. The people in that town, they think they're a city. Guys, you don't know what a city is, unfortunately. So no, Newport's not a city. It's a confused big town. And their water is so polluted, it's not even funny. They are in a magnetic hotspot, which gives them an advantage, but Heroin's being brought into the area. It's a nightmare. It was a total nightmare existing over there somehow. I really don't know how I physically held up with all the fluoride in the water. I could feel the fluoride. You can feel fluoride once you purify your body to a certain extent. You feel fluoride. You drink water with fluoride in it, and you can tell immediately, or you can tell very quickly to what extent is this water polluted. And all of the people were kind of like how I might act while stoned and very affected by Lyme disease. And also Lyme disease was rampant in the area as well. Almost everybody had Lyme disease, and they were in some kind of denial about it. It was bizarre, and I wasn't even taking antibiotics. It wasn't like I was telling them to go to the doctor. I was telling them, hey, why don't you take this, try out this tincture, try out this herbal stuff. You know, it might make your focus a little bit better, might make your thinking a little bit better. People would have physical problems, fatigue, joint pain, nerve pain, muscle tremors, muscle pain, MS type symptoms, all the typical Lyme everything, neck pain, knee, joint, you name it, everything that's Lyme, along with all the cognitive symptoms as well. And they would just simply be in what I call this Lyme fog of and I would think, okay, I thought I had this disease pretty badly. Oh my God. And how I actually managed to think in that environment. They took advantage of, they would attempt to separate me from any of my tinctures repeatedly, just like how my tinctures were hexed. But see, here's the thing. I can feel the spirochetes dying in specifically in frontal cortex. I can feel them dying off. They simply cannot exist in an environment that is penetrated by light and love. They're incompatible with it. So this essentially forces them to leave. And also, I know that different health regimen and things that I have, it will clear it up eventually. It might have lingering effects for a while, but it most definitely will clear up. But one thing that Lyme does do is make people very unmotivated, so that even the person who is ill will not attempt to get help, because they simply feel as if it's too difficult to do. It's a very strange feeling. They call it lack of motivation is the symptom name. And that's literally what it is, lack of motivation. So, Newport police. Oh my God, you people, They even changed their phone number. After August 21st, the Newport Police Department changed their phone number so that when I would try to call them to say, excuse me, what is going on with this bullshit, basically, as soon as I would say my name, the person would hang up. So I called back again, and I figured out the phone number because I knew so many of the different phone numbers in Newport for the different places, and I just called the courthouse, this, that, and they had just done something to their switchboard. It was really obvious. They just switched some of their regular numbers around, because they realized, oh my God, we do have to be scared of that girl. She's alive. The police, those Newport police, they also thought that they were like, quote, getting me back or whatever, when I was taken as a captive. Experimented upon in a hospitalized type prison setting in Concord, California. They thought that they were like getting me back, apparently. One of the, quote, counselors, as they called themselves, made a comment saying, oh, like, the police were right here. What they will do, see, what this force does is it inhabits several bodies at once. So the personage that we could call Marco Riza inhabits multiple human bodies at once, you see. That's how he could be in so many different places at once. And also be a little yell thing saying, what do you want? So they will talk repeatedly about how they're all kind of inside of one mind in a way, like a hive type mind, but there are tiers to it. Not everybody has all the information. That's why they can be screwed around with so easily by the top and get messed around with by their own people. Their own people mess around with them to no end. It's awful. Certain, as my mom said, oh, it seems like the right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing, honey. as a joke to, oh yeah, you can't really get through to anybody here because nobody here has all the same information. We're all getting fed some of the same information, and then different information that screws everything up. But different lies that screw everything up inside of this pyramidal hive mind type system, but it's shelled off like Linux. So that certain shells have certain information, and then all of them have a certain set of information. It seems like a basic set of information. But then after that, the information that each group or area will get will be different, and it is very much, very, very much like, it just looks like Unix. It looks like a bunch of people were programming on Unix and came up with this stuff, and it went too far, frankly. That's what it looks like. And I'm willing to bet that humans did it, because they were enslaved and forced to. That's what I'm willing to bet happened. If someone had told me, oh, Krista, you're going to be talking about this on YouTube a year from now, 1 year ago, I would have said, you are insane. I can't barely even get out of bed to even come to the class. What are you talking about? Well, I suppose it is interesting to be a survivor of an apocalypse. What then of the meanings of our lives? What then of those who didn't exactly survive? What then of those like my brother, who I know are in there? You can see it. Even if you don't have the visual ability, it's like you can see into the person, or I can see into the person. He's still in there, but something else has him, you know, kind of dictating him around like a dog. With my mother, it seemed like she was. It's not like it's talking to her anymore. It's like talking to something else. But with most of the people here, what they will, what it seems like, what happens is when the entity possesses the person for a period of time, they're very discombobulated, and that's where you can catch them in the act. You can ask them questions. Tell me the first thing that happened when I was 4 years old, or you can ask them different things like that, and they will not have the personality of the person that you're talking to, and they will give you some answer that's totally wrong or really weird sounding, and you will just know, who is it in there? That's what you end up thinking. Who the heck is in there? Because that's not my mom. That's not my friend Roberto. That's not. Those aren't those people. What the heck's in there? But after it looks like about 2 weeks, 2 to 4 weeks, it seems like there's an assimilation process that occurs after the possession takes place, where the possessing entity assimilates the memories of the host, meaning the human, the host body. And it seems like in some of these cases, the host body actually dies, but is the soul leaves or somehow is trapped. Either leaves or is trapped. I'm not sure. And the body is animated only by the reptilian soul, and then also they have all kinds of modifications where you end up growing big humps up your back. I did, and they've reabsorbed now into my back. But I had these, were huge. I was totally humped over like this. I could not stand up straight at all. Completely humped over. And I tried to ask, what is this for exactly? And the explanation they gave me, they didn't say it, but I could see in my mind that it was the idea of shape-shifting between the human form and whatever the possessing reptilian's form was. Something like that. For people that were getting totally taken over. And for me, they didn't want me to have any control, because I had proved myself too pesky. They wanted me totally taken over, but they discovered they cannot do that. It simply is impossible to do. It is interesting trying to cope with this kind of situation. Your favorite teachers on YouTube, like where I bought this, see Davey. Turns out Vancouver and Montreal were hit really, really, really bad by HAARP, and the entire time none of us in the US knew what was going on. children were being abducted in those areas, Montreal and Vancouver, left and right, being used in all this ritual torture. It was as if they closed in on those areas so quickly, and somehow communication got cut off between us and them, and we weren't able to help. Because if you look back, first to Davy, for example, you look back on her videos, it doesn't look like the darker person that you see now, or, well, person that sent jewelry cursed to kill me. And I would argue that maybe it was intercepted in the mail, because it looked like that was what happened with one of the things I got. It looked like they stopped it at Oakland and messed with it from the tracking information. That's what it looked like. But with her stuff, I would say that, except for the glaring fact that I have all the crystals of the poppet that she'd made, which I did not buy, and white stone with crystal with a silver wrapping, which I did not buy. Things that I did buy, which were swapped out for things that I hadn't bought, because the idea was, oh, Krista's not even going to be alive to complain about it. I probably should, because I should look back at those orders, because they were expensive, and two of those bracelets cannot be worn because they are cursed, so I should get about $90 refund, at least. Look, I think I might be asking about that $90 refund for being sent stones to kill me. Excuse me. Yeah, expect me to just sit down on my ass about that? No. To find out that the teacher that you were actually watching when you activated, after you end up emailing them to tell them thank you and wow, I remember all these things. Do you remember any of this, or is it just me, or am I crazy? You don't hear any response, but then really soon after that, within 2 weeks after you email them, this famous teacher, everything just starts changing. And it doesn't seem the same. They don't seem the same, as if something's happened to them. Someone else, infinite waters, diving deep once again. You're fond of their videos, and you watch, and then you realize, wait, he has slits in his eyes in half of his videos? And it's enough to notice it. I did not watch a lot of his videos. I did not watch many of his videos. I didn't really like him as much as the other teachers, just because I prefer the female teachers for now. For the most part, I prefer the female teachers. And there are slits in Ralph's eyes on the same video where he's saying, where he could be positing the possibility that, and I'm an alien too. But I know that's, there's nothing against having slits in one's eyes. It's the concept of the lying. That is the idea. And then trying to say that I am not somehow credible after all of you try to assassinate me, and I just keep on surviving no matter what you do. Surviving this apocalypse. No, I don't take kindly to that kind of treatment. I identify as human. I'm not the only person that has seen kind of seeing into a person. Seen with more than one, with several of our teachers on YouTube, that there's reptilian possession, blatant reptilian possession that's occurred. It's quite the shock, where you are still hoping that there could be some innocence in the world, but there's not. For example, for people who are wondering, oh, why can't, that guy who hurt Teal so bad, why can't he get prosecuted? Because the police in Utah are reptilians and Yael. That's why. And they are in on the whole thing. That's why. How do I know this? Because the police here are reptilian and Yael. And that's why I literally have to live outside of the law now. Very much literally live outside of the law, because the law is completely corrupt here. And it is corrupt in many of our major areas. It would be a long shot to find any police officer at this point that is not knowingly corrupt, basically. Especially if you're in a place where you'd think, oh, that would never happen, it's happening. Because they've got you in the mindset that that can't happen. That's one of the best ways that they cover for it, is keeping you in the dark about it. It's a hard thing to cope with. But we can do it. What to make of my mother now, I am not sure. What of my brother? What becomes of him? I am not sure. What of our teachers on YouTube? What's happened to them? I am not sure. I have suspicions, but I simply will not state them. But what can you do? Get yourself on YouTube. Start doing this. Start putting your voice out there. Because the puppet masters are essentially trying to remain puppet masters and try to hide it within our teachers. Hide it within an innocent-looking package. And it's not the teacher's fault. They happened to be gifted and then got targeted severely as children, essentially. And so it's not their fault. I was lucky. I strategically came in here purposefully totally asleep so that I could get past that system. I came in totally without any telepathic ability on purpose so that I could make it through this far into this apocalyptic era now. Because had I come in with those same abilities as the other teachers, I would have been subjected to the same horrors that they were and completely taken over, like they were and are right now. Kind of, it appears, pretty much. It's quite a sad thing, particularly when you realize that the teacher that was the entire literal catalyst, while you were watching them, literal catalyst where you were suddenly feel zapped in the head and you remember a bunch of things, and that same teacher then works with Russian hackers to not kill you outright, but get you to associate happiness with fear. And if you do that every time you feel happy, you suddenly feel afraid something bad's going to happen. See, if you do that, then that gives the perfect opening to kill you. So, no, it wasn't killing me outright, but it was trying to make it easy to do. And that's the person that I owe my activation to. The most famous one that you know of. I'm not going to say. What I believed last year, that this was going to be happening, that I was going to be totally on my own, that I was going to have to fend for my own survival in a literal alien versus predator apocalypse. I don't think I would have necessarily believed the idea. But the point is, at least I'm here. I'm here to be a light in that darkness. If there's nobody here next to Chevron to hold down the fort, hold the frequencies down, steady. That's the job I do, basically, now every day. And then we wouldn't really stand a chance. What I do every day, well, I'll try to build up my body now, physically, and ward off, attacks of different sorts. And continue on with a kind of frequency-based healing, or tonal kind of healing, which I'm rather good at, it seems. And so I'm here to anchor the earth as she comes into her light. And if this resonates with you, you are likely of the same. You are likely also what they were calling a, quote, anchor. The reptilians were calling me an anchor, a frequency anchor. And I realized the Arcturians were calling me that too, once I understood the concept. So, a planetary anchor of certain soul streams or frequencies that can pervade then into this dimension and attempt to elevate it. So we'll keep on doing that. And in a prayer of love, we pray for the other teachers. Because it causes me such great pain to think that the very people that I learned from tried to assassinate me. Because they couldn't help it, because something else was dictating them around, bossing them around, programming them. We must free the slaves, and we will. Rest assured, we will. At least as long as I'm here on Arcturian philosophy.